To Broadway now, where David Pogue is catching up with actor Sean Hayes.
This is the story of two men who became famous on TV about 50 years apart. Both hilarious actors, both piano virtuosos. First, Oscar Levant.
Listen, I can drop everything and be up in 10 minutes.
In the 30s, 40s, and 50s, he was everywhere. He was a movie star,
Swing your partner with a tra-la-la.
a composer, conductor, and concert pianist, and famous for his brilliant one-liners.
What do you do for exercise?
I stumble and then I fall into a coma.
Hey, friends, lovers, mothers, and other strangers, you're never going to believe what happened to me.
The other man is Sean Hayes. For 11 seasons, he played the hilariously self-absorbed Jack McFarland on Will and Grace, the first sitcom with openly gay main characters.
What are you talking about? You're not a performer. I am now. Me, a piano, and a spotlight. I'm calling it Just Jack.
You're a comedian, Jack.
This week, a new play opened up on Broadway in which Sean Hayes plays Oscar Levant.
It's not a pretty face, I grant you, but underneath this flabby exterior, there's an enormous lack of character.
It's called Good Night, Oscar, an intense and funny play about a tortured man.
In case of what?
I become irascible.
You're always irascible.
You're right, and that can only mean one thing.
And what's that?
I'm under-medicated.
After years of Jack McFarland, this is about as far from Jack McFarland as you get.
I love Jack McFarland. I love that experience. It's one of the greatest of my life. It's hard to break out of the thing that people see you as, that you became famous for. But then, you know, if we're not scaring ourselves as actors, what are we doing?
The darkness comes from Levant's drug addictions and mental health struggles. He broke taboos of the time by describing them publicly.
It was genuinely shocking in 1958 to see someone in Oscar's condition on television because he wasn't well, and at times he was heavily and often irresponsibly medicated.
Pulitzer Prize winner Doug Wright is the playwright.
But Oscar took the fangs from it away because he was always wonderfully and richly funny about it.
We have a bunch of pills here. We honestly, we know we got everything.
I took them. They're nothing.
A well-behaved one-liner.
The play was Sean Hayes' passion project, written just for him. But not everyone considered him a natural to play Levant.
I won't lie, I thought Sean was an extremely odd casting choice. He doesn't have a physical resemblance at all. But we went to this lunch that was set up by the producers, and across the table, he morphed into the man. He adopted his posture, his voice, his perpetual scowl. And I went to that lunch thinking he was the wrong actor, and I left that lunch thinking he was the only actor.
We all worked together to just kind of find how I could inhabit him, and through voice and face and other kind of, you know, tricks, actor tricks that we could do.
She wants to read it to you.
Well, don't let them leave the dinner table till they finish their martinis, you hear?
In the play, Levant gets a 4-hour leave from a mental health facility to appear on Jack Paar's Tonight Show.
And this is based on a real incident?
Yes, in spirit, it's largely true.
So bring us up to date, Oscar. What have you been doing with yourself lately?
Well, my behavior's been impeccable. I've been unconscious for the last 6 months.
Really?
In both life and on Broadway, Levant was a friend of George Gershwin and a famous interpreter of his music. But it was a complicated relationship.
I play it all the time, the Rhapsody mostly, and now I'm the first piano man to immortalize it on a 78. Besides you, of course.
George loved to tease Oscar in what was sometimes a sadistic manner. He also would say to Oscar, what are you going to play for the folks tonight? A medley of your hit?
So you've heard it?
Yes.
Oh, for Christ's sakes. I mean, what'd you think?
Heard about it, rather.
In the play, Levant is supposed to conclude his talk show appearance at the piano with a blazing performance of Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue. Fortunately, Hayes himself is a gifted piano player.
I'll try to play a little bit of a Chopin waltz.
Nice.
5 years old or so. And so I started taking lessons across the street, and I just stuck with it. I thought I was going to be a concert pianist or a film music composer. Anyway.
He's the real deal, folks.
It's the finale of an emotionally draining performance.
The play ends in a very kind of sensitive, emotional place. And gosh, even thinking about it now, I get a little emotional because mental illness and addiction run in my family tree. And so I feel for Oscar in an extremely deep way.
Is it exhausting?
It's absolutely exhausting. A lot of times after the show, I am depleted so much that I really just have to go home and take care of myself.
Good Night, Oscar has a limited run, 4 months. But for Sean Hayes, any effort to bring back Oscar Levant is worth the attempt.
There's nobody like him. There was nobody as funny as him. He's just been kind of forgotten about. I'm just happy and proud that we have this venue and this vehicle to bring Oscar back to life because I think he deserves it.